In February 2021, a man named Harrison walked into a GMC dealership and bought a brand new Sierra 1500. 5 months later, he was driving that truck across a 20-mile bridge, 250 miles from home, when the engine started sputtering, then shuddering, and misfiring. The truck didn't pull over because there was nowhere to pull over. It was a bridge. The truck lost power on a bridge 5 months after it left the showroom floor, with a window sticker price that included the word new. Harrison filed a lawsuit. Thousands of owners had the same experience with the same engine, and General Motors, the company that had spent 60 years building a reputation around truck engine durability, found itself facing a class action alleging it sold defective trucks to hundreds of thousands of customers while knowing the problem existed. That engine was the 5.3-liter EcoTec3 V8. And the story of how one of GM's most produced and most marketed truck engines became one of its most litigated ones is worth understanding in full, because it starts not with a flaw, but with a feature. If buried institutional decisions and the stories GM never put in its own press releases are why you're here, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss out on the stories. Start with what the 5.3-liter engine actually was before the problems, because the baseline matters. The 5.3-liter V8 in its original Vortec, 5300 form. The Generation III version, produced from 1999 through 2007, was one of the most reliable truck engines GM ever built. No meaningful controversy, no widespread failures. Owners routinely reported exceeding 200,000 miles on original internals with nothing beyond basic maintenance. The fundamental architecture was sound, a pushrod V8 with a long stroke design that prioritized torque delivery at low RPM, exactly what a truck engine needs, wrapped in a block that was engineered conservatively enough to survive the kind of commercial abuse that working trucks accumulate over decades. That engine's reputation was earned the old-fashioned way, by not breaking. In 2007, General Motors introduced a significant addition to the 5.3-liter family. It was called Active Fuel Management, AFM for short. The concept was not new. Cylinder deactivation had been attempted in American V8 engines as far back as the 1980s with limited success, but GM's implementation was mechanically specific in ways that mattered enormously for what came later. Under light load and highway cruise conditions, AFM used pressurized engine oil to push locking pins inward inside specially designed lifters, decoupling the lifter's inner and outer components from each other. When decoupled, the lifter could no longer transfer camshaft motion to the pushrod, which meant the valve stayed closed, the cylinder stopped combusting, and the engine was effectively running on 4 cylinders instead of 8. The fuel savings during this process were real. Approximately 1 to 2 miles per gallon in real-world highway driving, a modest but genuine improvement that allowed GM to print better EPA fuel economy numbers on the window sticker and market the 5.3-liter as a technologically advanced, environmentally conscious choice for truck buyers who cared about running costs. What GM's marketing did not put on the window sticker was what the AFM lifters did when they failed. The failure mode was specific and cascading. The AFM lifters, the components unique to the cylinder deactivation system, different in design from the standard lifters in the non-deactivating cylinders, were susceptible to getting stuck in the decoupled position. A lifter stuck in the wrong position could no longer properly follow the camshaft lobe. When a lifter fails to follow its lobe correctly, the pushrod above it bends. A bent pushrod transfers incorrect force to the rocker arm, which transfers incorrect force to the valve, which leads to valve train damage at a level that, in severe cases, requires complete engine replacement. The repair cost for a full engine replacement in a GMC Sierra or Chevy Silverado runs into the thousands, in many documented cases exceeding $10,000. Not for a used truck with accumulated mileage. For relatively new trucks, sometimes under 100,000 miles, sometimes far less. The symptoms before catastrophic failure were specific enough that owners who knew what to look for could catch them early if they knew what to look for. Engine misfires under load, hesitation when accelerating, shuddering at highway speed when the system was transitioning between 4 and 8 cylinder operation, a stutter or surge that felt like bad fuel or a failing transmission, but was actually the valve train beginning to fail. Many owners made multiple dealership visits before the root cause was correctly identified. The lawsuit filed by Capstone Law, APC on behalf of Harrison and thousands of other affected owners, formerly titled Harrison and Others, versus General Motors, LLC, case number 221. CV 12927, in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, specifically alleges that GM failed to disclose these failure modes to customers at the point of purchase. The lawsuit states that GM made and sold these vehicles without disclosing that the AFM lifters were defective in design, and that if the defect went unremedied long enough, the entire engine could be damaged, requiring full replacement. The safety dimension of the lawsuit is not a legal technicality. Stalling and power loss while merging onto a highway is a collision risk. Losing engine power on a bridge with no shoulder is not a maintenance inconvenience. It's a situation where people can get killed. The lawsuit explicitly names the safety implications: stalling, losing power while driving, and hesitation when trying to merge as conditions that impair driver control and increase collision risk. Harrison's specific experience, losing power on a 20-mile bridge, 250 miles from home, 5 months after buying the truck new, is documented in the court filing as illustrative of exactly that risk. General Motors' response to the growing evidence of the problem was notable for what it was not. It was not a recall. Despite the lawsuit's demand for a formal recall, and despite years of NHTSA complaints accumulating from owners across multiple vehicle lines, the GMC Sierra, the Chevy Silverado, the Tahoe, the Suburban, the Yukon, the Cadillac Escalade, the GMC Savannah van, and others, no formal recall was issued. What GM did instead was issue what it called a power component coverage letter, an extended warranty for owners who had already had their vehicles repaired at least once for valve train or lifter issues. The limitation of that approach is embedded in its own structure. It covered owners who had already experienced a failure, not owners whose trucks were still running on the original defective components, waiting to fail. The Generation 4 settlement, covering the LY5, LMG, and LC9 versions of the 5.3-liter engine produced from 2007 to 2014, the first generation to carry AFM, resulted in a $150 million class action settlement providing compensation for affected owners in California, North Carolina, and Idaho. The fuel savings the system delivered over its operational life in those trucks, at 1 to 2 miles per gallon improvement across the driving habits of the average owner, did not come close to covering the cost of the failed lifters, the damaged engines, the dealership visits, the rental cars, and ultimately the settlement itself. The feature that was supposed to save money cost far more than it ever saved. And GM knew the system had problems beyond the Generation 4 settlement because the litigation targeting the Generation 5 EcoTec3 engines, the L83 and L84, produced from 2014 onward, continued after the Generation 4 case resolved. In 2019, GM made the problem more complex rather than less by replacing AFM with DFM, dynamic fuel management, an even more sophisticated cylinder deactivation system capable of running the engine on as few as 2 cylinders rather than just 4. The additional complexity produced additional failure modes. Owners of trucks built between September 2020 and March 2021 reported the most severe lifter failures of any production window in the EcoTec3 era. The litigation targeting Generation 5 engines was still ongoing as of late 2025, 4 years after the initial lawsuit was filed, with no class action certification granted and no recall issued. What finally resolved the engineering question, not in a courtroom but in a factory, was a change that most people missed entirely. For the 2026 model year, General Motors quietly removed dynamic fuel management from production. Owners scanning VIN codes discovered the change before GM announced it publicly. The 8th digit of the VIN, designated E, corresponded to a redesigned EcoTec3 V8 without the cylinder deactivation system that had been generating litigation and warranty costs for nearly 2 decades. GM did not issue a press release calling the DFM removal a response to the litigation. It was presented as a product update. But the sequence of events, class action, settlement, ongoing litigation, 2026 deletion of the problematic system, tells a story that the press release didn't. The pre-AFM 5.3-liter Vortec, the engine that ran from 1999 to 2007 without cylinder deactivation, is still regarded as one of the most reliable truck engines in American history. The EcoTec3 that followed it, with AFM and then DFM added, generated $150 million in settlement costs for one generation and ongoing litigation for the next. The difference between those two outcomes was not the engine. It was the feature GM added to the engine to make the window sticker number more attractive to regulators and fuel-conscious buyers. Whether the modest fuel economy gain that AFM and DFM delivered over their operational lives was worth the legal, financial, and reputational costs GM ultimately paid is not a question GM has answered publicly. The 2026 VIN codes answer it quietly enough. What do you think about how GM handled this? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like this video and subscribe. In the next video YouTube knows you will like, we cover another story on how GM's engineering decisions cost the company more than the decisions were ever supposed to save. See you there.